Welcome to Daily Motivation. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to consider this. What does true evil look like? It's not always the dramatic, theatrical villain we see in films. No. Real evil is far more insidious, more subtle, and it often shows itself in a series of unmistakable signs. Evil people may walk among us, and they are often skilled at hiding their true nature. But I promise you, there are unmistakable traits they all share. Traits that can help us see them for what they truly are. Deceitfulness and manipulation. At the heart of every evil person lies deceitfulness. The ability to twist the truth, distort facts, and craft a narrative that serves their own desires and needs. They do not simply lie, they weave intricate webs of deception designed to control how others perceive reality. The lies are not merely used to cover up mistakes or to protect themselves in the short term. Instead, they are tools for manipulating those around them, creating a world where they are always in the position of power, no matter the cost. The deceptive nature of an evil person can manifest in many forms. They might downplay their wrongdoings, convincing others that they are blameless. They may shift blame, making sure others take the fall for their own misdeeds. How often have you encountered someone who can make you feel guilty for something you didn't even do? This is the art of deceit, a calculated strategy to make you question your own reality. The evil person does not just want to escape accountability. They want to make you believe you're the one at fault, even when you're not. They will distort facts, twist stories, and manipulate details to suit their narrative. And then comes manipulation, which is often the true driving force behind their deceit. For the evil person, manipulation is a means to an end, an ongoing tactic to get what they want, regardless of the harm it causes. They don't simply lie for the sake of lying. They lie to control. Every word they speak, every action they take, is done with the goal of shaping the thoughts, emotions, and actions of those around them. They don't just influence, they dominate. Through manipulation, they make you feel as if you are in control, while they secretly pull the strings behind the scenes. They can make you feel valued one moment and worthless the next, keeping you perpetually off balance and at their mercy. One of the most dangerous aspects of manipulation is how subtle it can be. A bad person can make their manipulative tactics seem like simple acts of kindness or concern. They will offer help, support, or affection, all while laying the groundwork to get you to do what they want. They might make you feel guilty for not reciprocating their generosity, or they might convince you that you owe them something, even when you haven't asked for their help. It's in these small, seemingly innocent gestures that their manipulation begins to take root, and you find yourself bound by invisible strings, doing things you never thought you would. Manipulation is not just about getting someone to do something for you, it's about changing their perception of themselves. The manipulator's goal is to distort the other person's sense of self-worth and perception of reality. Through deceit, they may make you feel inferior, as if you can't make decisions without their guidance. They might gaslight you, making you second-guess your own thoughts, emotions, and memories. The intention is always the same: to keep you dependent on them, and to ensure they maintain the upper hand. An evil person may even go as far as to create confusion and division in relationships. They could turn friends, family, or colleagues against each other, planting seeds of doubt and mistrust, all to isolate you and make you easier to control. By manipulating the dynamics of the people around them, they create a world where everyone is unsure of who to trust, except, of course, for them. They thrive on chaos, using deceit as a means to establish dominance over your emotional and mental state. The most terrifying aspect of deceit and manipulation is how it undermines trust. Over time, if you allow these tactics to take root in your life, you start questioning everyone's motives, including your own. You begin to doubt the sincerity of those around you, because the manipulator has convinced you that people are always out for themselves, just as they are. This erosion of trust is the true weapon of the deceitful person. They break down your ability to trust in others, leaving you isolated and vulnerable, while they stand as the sole source of truth in your life. In the end, deceit and manipulation are not just about misleading others. They are about subjugating them. The evil person does not seek a relationship built on honesty and mutual respect. Instead, they want a relationship built on control, one where they are the puppet master and everyone else is simply a pawn in their game. By bending the truth to fit their needs and manipulating those around them, they ensure that they maintain their position of power at any cost. Lack of empathy and compassion. At the core of evil lies an alarming lack of empathy and compassion, a deep emotional void that prevents the individual from truly connecting with the feelings of others. Empathy is the ability to put oneself in someone else's shoes, to understand their pain, joy, or sorrow. It is the bridge that connects human beings, fostering care, compassion, and mutual respect. For the evil person, however, this bridge is non-existent. The emotions of others are foreign to them, and their indifference toward those emotions is chilling. This lack of empathy does not stem from ignorance. It is a deliberate absence of concern. A person devoid of empathy might witness someone suffering and feel nothing. The tears of a friend, the pain of a stranger, the sorrow of a loved one, these things do not register. They might acknowledge that someone is in distress, but they do not feel that distress in any meaningful way. The pain of others does not stir them. The evil person may even dismiss or belittle the emotional turmoil of others, seeing it as an inconvenience or weakness, rather than something to be addressed with care or concern. The absence of compassion makes this inability even more profound. Compassion is not just understanding another's pain, it is feeling compelled to help alleviate that pain. A compassionate person is moved to act when they see someone hurting, whether that means offering comfort, providing assistance, or simply being there for them. But for the evil person, the suffering of others is something to be either ignored or exploited. They do not seek to ease pain, but rather to cause more of it. They may be aware of the emotional state of others, but they see it as an opportunity for manipulation or control, not as a reason to show kindness or understanding. This emotional detachment manifests in their relationships or lack thereof. When someone lacks empathy, it becomes nearly impossible for them to form genuine, meaningful connections with others. They may engage in relationships, but these are typically transactional, based on what the other person can offer them, rather than a shared bond of mutual understanding and affection. They might pretend to care, offering surface-level affection or praise, but it's always self-serving, never a true expression of care. They might claim to love or care about someone, but those words ring hollow because the emotional depth required to genuinely care is absent. In fact, the evil person may even use the lack of empathy to manipulate and control others. They can recognize when someone is vulnerable, but instead of offering support or comfort, they exploit that vulnerability for their own gain. A lack of empathy allows them to inflict harm without remorse, to gaslight, to emotionally blackmail, or to manipulate. They may tell others they are overreacting, dismissing genuine feelings as dramatic or irrational, further invalidating the emotions of those around them. With no empathy, they cannot fathom the emotional cost of their actions, and so feel no need to stop or change their behavior. Without the capacity for empathy, the evil person fails to recognize the humanity of others. They see people not as individuals with unique emotions and experiences, but as objects or obstacles to be used for their own benefit. People become tools, pawns in their larger game of self-interest. The idea that someone else's well-being is equally as important as their own is foreign to them. In fact, their self-centeredness is so profound that they often view others as mere instruments to achieve their desires, lacking the moral compass to see the intrinsic value of another person's life or happiness. This lack of empathy can extend to their ability to feel guilt or remorse. When they harm others, they do not experience the emotional discomfort that would naturally arise in a more empathetic person. Guilt or regret are emotions that help guide us toward more compassionate and considerate behavior. But for the evil person, these emotions are simply absent. They might rationalize their harmful actions, blame others, or deny any wrongdoing altogether. Without empathy, they do not recognize that their actions are causing harm, nor do they feel any internal push to correct their behavior. In social and professional environments, the consequences of a lack of empathy are stark. The evil person is often seen as cold, detached, and self-serving. They may rise to power through manipulation, deceit, or exploitation of others, but they never form genuine alliances or friendships. The people around them become mere tools to advance their own interests. Their inability to understand or connect with others' emotions creates a toxic atmosphere, one where individuals are left feeling isolated, unheard, and unimportant. A lack of empathy is often what allows evil individuals to commit cruel acts without hesitation. Whether it's betrayal, manipulation, or violence, they don't consider the impact on their victims because they are emotionally disconnected. They have no capacity to care about the emotional fallout of their actions, and in many cases they might even enjoy watching others suffer because it serves their needs. Their world is one where they are the center, and everything and everyone else is secondary or expendable. In essence, the lack of empathy and compassion is not just a passive absence of care, it is an active force that drives harmful, destructive, and manipulated behaviors. It allows the evil person to view others not as human beings deserving of kindness and respect, but as mere obstacles or tools to be used and discarded. This cold emotional void is the foundation upon which many of the other signs of evil are built, and it is what makes these individuals so dangerous to those around them. Selfishness and narcissism. At the very heart of every evil person lies a relentless selfishness that places their own desires, needs, and comfort above everything and everyone else. The evil individual sees the world as something that exists solely for their benefit, a place where others are merely obstacles, tools, or stepping stones to further their personal gain. This selfishness is not a fleeting characteristic, but a deep-rooted core value that dictates their every thought, action, and decision. Selfishness in an evil person is all-consuming. They do not consider the needs or feelings of others unless it somehow serves their interests. In every interaction, they prioritize their own comfort, satisfaction, and success, and they will use any means necessary to secure these. Other people's needs are irrelevant to them, and they see the world as a zero-sum game. If someone else gains something, it is at their own loss. Therefore, any situation that doesn't directly benefit them is often dismissed, overlooked, or even sabotaged. This self-centered mentality often leads to manipulative behaviors. The evil person will exploit others to fulfill their own desires, be it emotionally, financially, or even physically. They will charm, flatter, or deceive those around them, all to secure the things they want. They might act as if they are offering something in return, but in reality the exchange is always skewed in their favor. The relationships they form are transactional, based on what they can extract from others, not on mutual respect, care, or love. They are masterful at making others feel as though their interests are secondary, while they remain firmly in the center, enjoying the benefits of what they can take. Beyond selfishness, we often find narcissism in an inflated sense of self-importance that distorts how they view themselves in relation to others. The evil person sees themselves as inherently superior, deserving of special treatment, admiration, and power. Their narcissistic tendencies create a sense of entitlement, where they believe they should never have to abide by the same rules or standards as everyone else. They operate under the illusion that the world should bend to their will, and they grow resentful when they don't receive the attention, praise, or validation they believe they are owed. Their need for admiration is insatiable. They seek constant validation and approval, often going to great lengths to ensure that others see them as brilliant, successful, or flawless. If they do not receive the attention they crave, they become irritated, even angry. They may resort to playing the victim or inflating their achievements in an attempt to restore their fragile sense of self-worth. Narcissism feeds on the adoration of others, but it is never truly satisfied because their self-esteem is dependent on external validation rather than internal confidence. This narcissistic self-position is built on fragility, and deep down they fear being exposed as unworthy of the praise they seek. Therefore, they may create a false persona, exaggerating their qualities or achievements to mask their insecurities. They may surround themselves with people who flatter them and reinforce their distorted sense of importance, while they discard anyone who challenges their superiority or doesn't meet their needs. These superficial relationships are convenient for maintaining their fragile ego, but they are devoid of authenticity or emotional depth. In addition to their inflated self-opinion, narcissistic individuals often lack true self-awareness. They are blind to their flaws and shortcomings, and any criticism or feedback is often met with defensive rage or dismissive arrogance. They cannot understand that others might have needs or perspectives different from their own. When they do something wrong, they don't take responsibility. Instead, they deflect blame and manipulate the narrative to make themselves appear as the victim. They cannot bear the idea that they might not be perfect, so they refuse to acknowledge their faults. The combination of selfishness and narcissism creates a toxic, suffocating environment around these individuals. They view relationships and interactions as opportunities to extract value from others. Love, friendship, and kindness are not viewed as mutual exchanges. Instead, they are seen as tools for manipulation, or as means to reinforce their sense of superiority. They may even use people as props to elevate their own status, showing off their relationships or possessions in an attempt to project an image of power or wealth. But in the end, these people are empty inside. Their selfishness leaves them disconnected from true intimacy, and their narcissism ensures they are constantly trapped in a cycle of needing validation and admiration from the outside world. Their self-centered worldview makes them unable to form genuine, meaningful connections. They are always the focal point of any interaction, expecting others to bend to their desires, whether it's in their personal relationships or professional environments. They rarely offer the same kind of consideration, understanding, or generosity that they demand. And if someone dares to assert their own needs, they might be ignored, belittled, or even punished for not placing the narcissist at the center of the universe. In the long run, selfishness and narcissism drive people further away, leaving the evil person isolated and alone. The very qualities that allowed them to manipulate and control others ultimately make them incapable of experiencing love, friendship, or true fulfillment. Their world is built on a fragile, unsustainable foundation of self-obsession and exploitation. And it crumbles when others recognize that they are nothing more than empty shells, desperate for attention but incapable of offering anything genuine in return. Cruelty and vindictiveness. At the core of evil is often a profound cruelty, an inherent desire to cause harm, whether physical, emotional, or psychological. The evil person thrives on the suffering of others, not just as a side effect of their actions, but as a purposeful objective. To them, causing pain is not an accident or an unfortunate byproduct of their behavior, it is often a desired outcome. They revel in the power they hold over others, using cruelty as a means of asserting dominance and control. Cruelty can take many forms, from overt acts of aggression to more subtle, insidious behavior. The evil person might deliberately insult or humiliate others, targeting their insecurities or weaknesses. They might create situations that bring others to their knees emotionally or financially, delighting in the struggle and despair they instill. Whether it's belittling someone in front of their peers, using sharp words to wound someone's self-esteem, or creating turmoil where there was once peace, cruelty is the tool they use to degrade, control, and overpower. It is not simply about winning. It is about making others lose, about taking pleasure in their misery, and about reinforcing their own sense of superiority by putting others down. Alongside cruelty often comes vindictiveness, a desire to exact revenge, especially when they feel slighted or challenged. The evil person holds grudges, often obsessively, nursing wounds from past conflicts or perceived slights. Forgiveness is a foreign concept to them. Instead, they wait for the perfect moment to strike back, ensuring that those who have wronged them face consequences far greater than what was originally intended. This drive for vengeance can lead them to orchestrate elaborate plans to ruin lives, destroy reputations, or humiliate someone to the point of devastation. Vindictiveness in an evil person is often calculated. It is not an impulsive response, but a deliberate strategy for retaliation. They will wait, carefully plotting and waiting for the right time to inflict harm. Their ultimate goal is to ensure the other person feels as much pain and suffering as they can possibly inflict. The evil person takes great satisfaction in watching others suffer, and will go to great lengths to ensure that their vengeance is met, often leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. This cruelty and vindictiveness are often driven by the evil person's deep-seated insecurities or sense of entitlement. They may view themselves as unjustly treated, believing that they deserve more or have been unfairly wronged, thus justifying their harmful actions. In their mind, they are always the victim, and the harm they cause is merely reparative justice. They see no reason to forgive or show mercy because, in their eyes, the world owes them something, and those who do not cater to their desires are enemies who must be punished. One of the most defining traits of an evil person is their complete absence of accountability, a refusal to take responsibility for their actions, no matter how damaging or harmful they may be. They live in a world where the consequences of their behavior are always someone else's fault, and the need for self-reflection or personal growth is entirely absent. This lack of accountability is not merely a matter of failing to admit mistakes. It is a fundamental characteristic of their nature, one that drives their ability to continue engaging in harmful behavior without remorse. The evil person will deflect blame at every turn, often accusing others of wrongdoing or shifting the focus away from their own actions. If they hurt someone, it is never because of their own failings or malicious intent, but because the other person did something to deserve it, provoked them, or made them act that way. They have an extraordinary ability to deny any culpability, even in situations where their responsibility is clear. Self-awareness is foreign to them because acknowledging their flaws or mistakes would require them to confront their own moral decay. They are incapable of seeing the impact their actions have on others. Because admitting fault would require a level of introspection they are simply not willing to undertake. Furthermore, the absence of accountability fuels their sense of entitlement. Because they never take responsibility for their actions, they often see themselves as blameless victims in every situation. They believe the world owes them something, and that the rules that govern others do not apply to them. They expect forgiveness, understanding, and even admiration, despite their repeated misdeeds. If others point out their faults or challenge their behavior, they react defensively, often with anger or contempt, further reinforcing their stance of victimhood. This refusal to accept responsibility extends to how they handle consequences. Instead of facing the repercussions of their harmful actions, the evil person will often manipulate the situation to avoid any form of punishment. They may lie, deceive, or even attempt to blame the victim in order to escape accountability. They see consequences as something unjust, an unfair obstacle to their desires, and so they find ways to eliminate or minimize them, regardless of the cost to those around them. Without accountability, there is no opportunity for growth or redemption. The evil person is stuck in a perpetual cycle of harm, refusing to change because they never take responsibility for the damage they cause. This absence of accountability allows their toxic behavior to persist unchecked, further isolating them from others and preventing any meaningful relationships from forming. In their world, there are no consequences for their actions, and as a result, they feel free to act with impunity, reinforcing the destructive cycle they create. In conclusion, the signs of evil are clear and undeniable when we examine the behaviors and characteristics of those who embody it. The deceitfulness and manipulation they employ, their lack of empathy and compassion, their selfishness and narcissism, and their cruelty and vindictiveness all reveal a pattern of harm and exploitation. These individuals refuse to take responsibility for their actions, embracing a life where accountability is foreign to them. They live in a world where their desires and needs supersede the well-being of others, often using their power to manipulate, control, and inflict suffering. This lack of moral conscience and disregard for the feelings of others makes them dangerous and destructive forces in our lives. Understanding these signs is the first step in recognizing and protecting ourselves from the corrosive effects of evil in both personal relationships and larger societal contexts.